Tail end of this qualifying order, meaning they were the two fastest.
Speaking of bluebirds, did a nice gentleman named Jack Beebe own a bunch of bluebirds?
He owned a bunch of school buses. Beebe was Ron Bouchard's car owner in Cup, Race Hill Farm. Race Hill had their horses, and his business was hauling school kids down in Madison, Connecticut. Yes. I bet a bunch of those were bluebirds.
I bet a bunch of those were
Some were Thomas buses, and there are others. But Joey Logano in the other Dollar General Toyota, third quickest right now. Nope, top of the board. Boy, Stenhouse's stay at the top spot was not long. 30.335. Middletown, Connecticut's Joey Logano. 6 wins this season. And Logano trying to nail down the top spot here.
That you need something to hold you as you get down in there over 180 miles per hour.
Yeah, and you got so much time to build up that speed. These straightaways are so long. And you have all that speed when you get to these flat corners.
Yeah, when we get into the race later this afternoon, we'll talk and see a lot of with drafting really comes into play because of the speeds and the length of these straightaways.
Well, that car did not want to turn in turn number 2, did it? You can see the speed graph there take a dive for Mike Harmon.
Looked like Mike thought it was going to turn and drove it on in there, but it just didn't. The car didn't agree.
Yeah, that could have been a situation of hitting that splitter because you go off down in there, and if it hits it, it literally feels like at times it picks the front tires up off the ground, and so you're just waiting, and then hoping that it might turn.
That's always comfortable, huh?
Yeah.
Front tires off the ground at 160 or 70 miles an hour.
It's like Mike's just going to take the one lap.
Based on owner points. Now it's Elliott Sadler's turn. Out on the racetrack, Hermie, can you critique your own brother, or is that legal to do?
Well, I might not be able to get anything to eat after qualifying if I do too much critiquing, but I can tell you he was. We flew out yesterday, and he was very much looking forward to running this number 9 Busch car here at Texas. He got a lot of fond memories of this racetrack. Look, he got a little bit loose going in turn 1 right there. Went right to the bottom. Maybe got that on the white line and got a little bit free right there. See if he can make up a little time in 3 and 4, because he's usually a one-lap guy. He wants to get it done on lap 1.
You know, it's hard to explain to the viewers, Hermie, how hard it is at over 200 miles an hour to drive in that turn 1 and know that you're not going to back off, and it's not easy. Daytona, Talladega, to run wide open around there in a qualifying scenario is easy.
Does he get the pole now? He's got to run quicker than 49.77 seconds.
Judging by that tracker right there, it's not going to happen. You can see he's almost a full second off of what Clint Boyer ran. We haven't seen that kind of a pickup.
Yeah, in fact, 50.77 seconds, that would put him 32nd quickest in the field right now.
Well, he's still locked in with that lap.
That's true. That's true. In fact, it means Brett Rowe joins Jennifer Jo Cobb. Those are the two that are going to go home and not make the field for tomorrow's season opener. Now the big question mark is, can Stewart pick up enough? But he's 2/10 off down the backstretch. This is not looking that good.
No, he's not going to get that, but we know as long as he's in the field that there's a chance he can make it 4 in a row. Yeah, look out. This car is going to be strong tomorrow.
Tony coming through 4.
Yeah, and he just has an incredible ability to know how to use his car in the draft and get himself in the right position at the end of these races.
So as he comes across the stripe, it will not give him the pole position. He'll slot into, the survey says, the 14th starting position.
It doesn't hurt to be able to see that, and especially if you're gaining on that car, you know, it just pumps you up mentally.
On board with Hornish.
I would have to say that Sam's probably not even looking at that car out there. He's just focused on knowing where he needs to go.
Whoa.
Yep, that's going to hurt him right there, though.
Yep. Bit of a mistake as he came up the hill, and I think he's going to take another lap.
I would have to say that I wouldn't be surprised to see him continue on.
So PK to the top, Hornish to the top is
Very difficult. That was one of the other things we talked about at the back of the box. Was hoping that she could run wide open around Texas here in the Nationwide Series. Joey Logano now on the racetrack. Joe Gibbs Racing. What an amazing season they have already had in the Nationwide Series, trying to win that Owners Championship in this series. Right now they're fighting with Brad Keselowski and Penske Racing for that title. The 18 cars of the Joe Gibbs Racing bunch that's closest in that point run. Right now, fourth quick on lap number 1 for Logano, 28.764. Again, hit that bump going through 1 and 2 and back in, kicked out on Joey Logano.
Said that's enough. That's all the fun I can stand right now. 2-time winner this year here in the Nationwide Series.
Third car in the books. Here comes Danica Patrick. Made her NASCAR debut here a year ago. She's been in 3 different cars, 3 different races here on this track, and now with the new surface, as we all found out, it's another new learning experience.
Yeah, I promise you this isn't the same racing surface that anybody has known before this year, because we've done such a terrific job in repaving and how smooth this place is. It just took all of those things that you fought and had to deal with over the years, just took all of that away.
Well, that should play into her hands, because everybody's racing on a new surface, and maybe it being new for everybody could help her.
Yeah, the one thing that she's going to have to deal with different from last year is a different car and this new surface and this 2-car draft situation that a lot of these, and I think that the end will come down to that.
I think that's the one thing that she's going to struggle the most with, is how to perfect that drafting. That 2-car hookup we've seen is very difficult to do. It's kind of tricky to get latched up. It's tricky to stay there. That's a good first lap for Danica. Actually, the fastest first lap on the board.
50.5. Now she's down on the low side. What's really been fun for all of us, and I've even heard it from other people, is the way she is very open when she's on that radio saying, hey, should I have moved up in front of those guys? We were talking about it yesterday in practice, and it's been sort of fun. Like, we're learning along with her just what it's like out there.
Well, pay attention. This is a pole run for her.
Yeah,
so far.
look at this. Looking good. Could she bump Carl Edwards off the pole? She is hugging that yellow line. Look at Tony Eury. He's liking what he sees.
I think this is going to be a hard lap. It's going to be hard to beat. It's a good lap. Really good lap.
She is definitely going to take over the _1 spot. Get ready. Here she comes.
Water north the line. Water north.
49.86 seconds.
240, 225.
Fancy fire suit.
Yeah, he's got a good lap going here, too.
Logano, winner of the last 2 straight Nationwide Series races that he's entered, winner of 3 overall this season. Survey says new leader, Joey Logano.
Just by a couple of hundreds there.
Jason Keller now on the racetrack in his number 11.
I'll tell you what's big for Eric McClure. He was able to beat DJ Kennington, so now 3 cars will go home here. There are 46 cars. Now Eric McClure has jumped ahead of DJ Kennington. Right now they are last and next to last as far as the cars that are go homes.
When you talk about Ironmen in the Busch Series, I think you've got to talk about Jason Keller. The number of starts he has made. This will be his 420th career start in this series.
And we all know how tough it is to come out here, Busch Series or Nextel Cup, with a part-time effort and be competitive. And Jason has really impressed me. Every time they brought this car to the racetrack field, he's been pretty daggone competitive. Qualified 5th at Memphis last week.
Yeah, finished in the top 10 also. So great run for Jason Keller and this team last week at Memphis.
Running it right along that white line on the bottom of the racetrack, the shortest distance around this 1.5 miles. His first lap, 29.174. Let's see if he improves on lap 2. He does. Locks himself into the field. 29.029 for Jason Keller. So now on the bubble of those right now, that 42 of Tim Andrews.
It was so interesting in qualifying, Jeff, in the Camping World Truck Series. A lot of drivers went faster on that second lap. It seemed like it took them a little bit longer to get that momentum built up with these tapered spacered engines. But I think once we get further down the line in qualifying, the drivers that are really in contention for the pole, you would still think that lap number 1 ought to be the money lap.
Well, it might be, but let's talk about, compared to what they practiced at yesterday, track was pretty much cloudy all day, and so the conditions were, a lot better for grip than what it is today. And I'm just wondering that even though it's sunny out, it still feels like it's cool, and maybe you have to get a little heat in these tires to make them grip like they need to, because you're right. I mean, I'm sitting there looking a moment ago. We got 3 guys that went faster on the first lap. We got 3 guys that have run faster on the second lap. So really, we're not too sure how this is going to kind of play out. But I see where you're coming from.
No, it is not Jimmy Johnson, but there it is on track. It is Joey Logano, as Team Penske has loaded all their arsenal. All 3 cars are on the track here.
And the last time a 48 car went to victory lane in the Nationwide Series was at Rockingham in 01. Joey Logano was 11 years old.
Okay. Well, and Joey and the crew have been having fun. They've been calling him Jimmy, and he's been calling his crew chief Chad. having some fun with it. But I have to admit, though, it is strange seeing someone else in a car number 48. I don't care what series it is. Close to 2 top 10 finishes.
This part of the qualifying procedure hasn't changed. They're going to get 2 laps around here. They'll take the fast one, which is going to be the second one unless they have a real problem. You see Josh Wise running that high line through turns 1 and 2.
See where his best start was last year here when he started 29th, finished 39th in that race. Was involved in a crash. 2-time USAC champion. In 05, he won the midget championship. In 06, the sprint car championship. And as he comes by, .37 seconds. You see his speeds right there at 175.17. Now, he practiced at 179.6.
You see these cars, the Nationwide Series cars, have these big spoilers with ears on the sides. That has a lot more drag than the Sprint Cup cars do. And so they have to have just a little bit more power. They would have to have quite a bit more power, actually, to run the same speed. We see some smoke coming out of that one, though. Might be a little bit of the water blowing out of the overflow there at the base of the windshield, making a vapor. But it takes quite a bit more power to push this car the same speed as we see the Cup cars go. So they've reduced this restrictor plate. They've reduced the taper spacer till they got these cars where they can run a manageable speed in the draft. And what that makes is for a slower qualifying time.
He comes across the stripe, and we have our first official qualifying attempt in the books. As you can see the steam coming out the overflow. He picked up about 0.6 of a second on lap number 2, and you can see,
if you will. And so not a bad run, though, for Eric Almirola. He currently is 8th on the speed chart. And here's the guy, Larry, we got to look at, Joey Logano.
Everybody's eyes are on this number 20 car to see whether or not he can do it again. And if you look at our tracker, he's on pace to make it happen, Larry.
You know, one other thing that we didn't mention, this car is in the top 30 in owner points, but since they have not attempted all the races, he has to qualify on time. Going to be a great start, even though we got a lot of drivers to go, but he looks like he's on track to at least take the pole now at a 31.14.
It seems somewhat irrelevant, but it still is very surprising to know that Joey Logano is a go or go home car in this field.
You know, people say he's 3 for 3 here at Kentucky. He's actually 4 for 4 here. When he was 12 years old, he won on the quarter mile in the Legends Young Gun Nationals.
He's only 13 now, though, isn't he?
Just a little bit older.
But you talk about things that are strange, and we watch Joey try to pick it up on his second lap. Think about Mark Martin, a rookie. Mark Martin, a rookie? Come on.
So, yeah, Mark Martin's a rookie today, and Joey Logano's a go or go home car. What gives?
Well, Joey slows down about a tenth, so we'll have to see at that 31.14.
Temperature. Well, just wanted to note to you guys, you're right. This track temperature a lot cooler here today than it was in the final practice yesterday or altogether yesterday. In fact, almost 20 degrees cooler today. Track temp right now, 88 degrees.
20 degrees difference, and that's the problem I think they're going to be running into, Steve, is the fact that, you know, you're anticipating the track heating up for later on this afternoon. So now you've got to compensate with either air pressure, tape, or have the driver himself to say, look, don't drive it in there, you know, overdrive the car, get yourself in trouble, because, you know, you're going to have the grip you need, but this setup is really more for this afternoon.
Well, Larry, let me take that a step further. Let's talk about the race as we watch hometown hero Clint Boyer. I say hometown Emporia, about 100 miles from here. Saw the local forecast last night, and it said temperatures would be about 85 degrees later this afternoon.
I think, honestly, when these guys race, that we're probably going to be more like the conditions they had yesterday in practice. But I think with the track being a little cooler this morning, a little more grip, a little bit more of a challenge, because obviously the speeds are going to be up there, and as we always point out in Busch qualifying, you are qualifying with a race setup. At Clint's first lap, a 32.10, that gets back pretty close to what he ran in practice yesterday. He ran a 32.02, and he's going to go ahead and run the second lap. We do need to mention that we had 47 cars here yesterday, but Josh Krug in the 61 car actually had an engine failure. They did not have a backup engine to go to, so today we will actually have 46 cars that go out to qualify.
Let's take a look at the air temperature and the track, and you heard Joe talk about the fact that cloud cover came out.
Yeah, and it's made a huge difference. Normally it takes a little while, especially whenever you get a track that's up to 117 degrees, but that 12 degrees is a huge difference, Andy, and creates a lot of grip, as Joe said.
It really is. I mean, you look for any kind of cloud cover when you go out there to qualify because it makes so much difference. And you see Rick Crawford now running this 13 car. This is the first time we've seen him in this car this year, but Rick's a good shoe from the Truck Series.
Absolutely. Making his Nationwide Series debut as he runs 32.14 on that first lap.
But he'd have to have a 14 in his speed since he ran that truck number 14 for a lot of years. It is amazing when I saw this, though. I just had, for some reason, thought that Rick Crawford had run some Nationwide Series events with us before, or back in when it was the Busch Series, but glad to see him out here participating tonight.
Well, he leads all drivers in the Camping World Truck Series with 330 starts, 6 poles, and 5 wins over in that series. And he runs 32.14 on the second lap, which is improving. On his first lap, that keeps him in the 6th spot right now.
Right now in the top 10. We have more than 10 still to go in this qualifying session. Hermie.
Kyle Busch, 32.14, fastest lap of the weekend. You got it done on the bottom. We hadn't seen that a lot today.
You got to pay attention to last night, you know, just being smart about it. So I think the Monster Energy Camry is pretty good. Hopefully it's a good enough car here in the sun when it gets hot out. I'm sure the 18 just posted one on us, but nonetheless, I think it'll be a good starting spot for us. And
out on track now, the 46, Chase Miller, the 24-year-old from Georgia. He's got 42 Nationwide Series starts. His only start this season is back at Iowa, started 35th and finished 40th in that race. First lap at 32.28, guys.
Yeah, it's actually picks up about a 1/10 and a half over his practice speed.
You know, one thing we haven't talked about is that preferred line around this track. I mean, how much margin do you have, DJ?
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, you can see there's a little bit of grip, but you can see right there the car bouncing around. As I talked to some of these drivers, talking about how rough the bottom of the racetrack is. And with these cars, and we've talked about coil binding and the splitter hitting with these new cars, something they have to work extremely hard on. And you want to be as close to the bottom as you can, but it really affects you on the
last one of those who must make the race on time. Carl Long is on the bubble.
I don't feel too good about Carl's chances at this point.
I think I agree.
Yeah, this will do it for Carl. Carl Long.
See how steady his hands were in this car. So Logano in, Carl Long out. What does Joey do with lap number 2, which has been faster for about half of everybody?
He's got to pick up about a 1/10 and a half to beat the current pole sitter, Ricky Stenhouse. We'll see if he can. He's got a little bit down the back.
Stenhouse was really good through 3 and 4, though. Trying to make a comeback here.
Oh, that's going to be close.
Boy, not quite enough. Faster, but still third. 29.213 for Joey Logano.
You drink in victory lane and do it for him.
Quickest car in practice, but very few Fords in the field. Who do you work with tonight?
Man, I don't know. I try to come up with plans beforehand. The last, when we first started this two-car tandem, and that didn't ever seem to work out for us. So I figured, the last few, just kind of go with whoever's in front of you or whoever's behind you. And Clint and I worked really well there and talked about it after practice. So I feel like we can work very well together in the race, and he's got a lot of experience as well.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
By the way, Clint, he's talking about is the guy's been standing here on pit road talking to you for about 15 minutes. Clint Boyer, they've been chatting mostly about what could happen here tonight, guys.
I'm just kind of watching how Joey Logano is going about this qualifying run. Not using that high lane like we've seen quite a few cars do the first lap. Brian Scott, his teammate, did the same thing, and they don't pick up much on that second lap. It's really hard to say without really getting scientific with the testing side of this to see which way is the quickest. But definitely this is a different style than we've seen.
Yeah, Elliott Sadler was more in the middle of the road there, but Logano and Brian Scott, as you mentioned, were both pretty much the same lines. That's how we've really seen utilize that a little bit. Worked out for him.
The fastest in Friday's practice. Andy or Marty?
Oh, all of us will respond, Mike. Don't worry about that. Mike Harmon out on the track right now as he's the 53-year-old from Birmingham, Alabama. His career best start, 13th, back in June of '96 at Myrtle Beach. He's had 7 starts this year. His best was 28th at Talladega, guys.
You saw him up running a little bit higher on the racetrack. I think you want to stay away from that part. Get into that gray area. There's not a lot of grip right now. This racetrack will widen out as we get into the race tonight. It's there your maximum speed. You have to stay out of that right now.
Yeah, one of the things is ARCA cars have qualified on the track earlier today, and they run a little bit different tire. So that rubber compatibility is, we hear people talk about that a lot, how that not running on the same tire could cause a little bit of not a good match for the rubber on the track, so it can cause a little grip loss.
Yeah, they run Hoosier tires. Josh Richards won that ARCA pole, in case you're interested. And as Mike finishes up, he runs both laps. His best, a 33.11.
His first lap a little quicker than his second. Now it's Matt Kenseth's turn. 2-time winner at this race.
Ooh,
big bump there at 1.
Yeah, right through the tunnel area we were talking about earlier, Hermie, and that thing bottomed out and shot up the racetrack here. Look at the bottom of your screen, the telemetry. He's hovering around the 15th spot there. That really cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, you can tell he had a top 5 run going down into turn 1. Got on that bump, as we talked about, on top of that tunnel, and that momentum, losing that momentum is really hurting this lap.
Across the start-finish line, 28.894. Slow time for Kenseth, 14th quickest. The guy he's chasing, as we see again him hit that bump, is Carl Edwards, who's leading right now. Wendy?
I heard Carl Edwards tell PK, got a little bit hairy out there. Were you able to hold it wide open? It looked fast.
I held it wide open for as much as I could. I don't think it was, I'd like to say I held it wide open, but just really proud of the guys, pretty awesome for them to take this, Dish Network Fusion and change, complete spring setup, everything. We did not.
Years is that their cars aren't necessarily the fastest on qualifying day, but they just draft so well. It gives them an opportunity to win. So we'll see what Clint can do here.
The 2008 Nationwide Series champion on track right now, Clint Boyer. He won the July race here back in '09 from the pole.
Yeah, this is a big-time fast first lap coming up here.
Yeah, he is only a couple of tenths off as he's coming for the stripe.
He didn't run that high lane.
No, he was more in the middle. Yeah, he was more in the middle of the track, so we'll see what he can pick up. Right now, it's working for him.
Yeah, I still think this could be a pole run.
Keep an eye on the tracker. Right now, he is in the negative, in the green. That is good news for Clint, bad news for Landon Castle.
Like I said, they set these cars up for the race.
Yeah.
I know one thing. This new qualifying format, it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, it's been great. I think as we get some of these other tracks, it's going to be just as exciting, if not more so.
Hugging the bottom of the track, Clint Boyer. He is still in the green by 4/100ths. So it's backsliding just a little.
That's going to be enough.
Hang on. Here he comes to the stripe. Does Landon hold on to it? Or no, Clint Boyer's going to take it away. 49.77 seconds.
All right, now, Joey, during this European-style road course qualifying, we don't normally have some fast cars go out early in the session, but that was the case today. Carl Edwards put up a fast time. You got something to shoot for. Can you reach it?
Well, I don't think anyone knows what we got, and no one knows what everyone's car is doing. So, kind of our first lap on a dry track with these Nationwide cars. So, I think the Cup drivers got a pretty big advantage being able to have those 2 Cup practices, especially one just a few minutes ago. So, we'll kind of know where our marks are a little bit closer. We'll have to adjust them for these Nationwide cars, but we'll see what happens here at the GameStop car. I have no idea. So, I'm going to try to overrun it and then maybe adjust to it my second lap.
We appreciate your honesty. Good luck today.
Yeah, thanks.
Joey Logano looking for his first career road course win here this weekend at Watkins Glen.
You can see Joey Logano's last lap there. He actually made up a little ground on Carl Edwards through that first section. And I was watching Paul Menard. Looked like he made up some ground on Carl through that left-hander coming to turn 7. Actually through turn 6 and over to 7. But he lost a little bit from there to the start-finish line.
Logano was the only other driver besides Carl Edwards to run into 112 on his first lap, so I thought he might pick it up
in qualifying and whatever spot they would pick for pit road, because they allow a sealed engine to be replaced if they have a problem with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the unique things about the Nationwide Series. But, hey, if it doesn't work out and he does start in the back and is able to win the race, I mean, he would join 2 other drivers that have been able to do that so far this year.
Right.
And Joey Logano, as far as Daytona's concerned, he won from the back, and then Marcus Ambrose got there late from qualifying. He had to start in the back of the pack when he won up there in Montreal. But, you know, when what Rick is talking about when he says sealed engine, NASCAR, when you put a new engine in the car, they come around, they inspect it, they pump it, they do everything they can to it to make sure it's right. And if you want to elect to run that engine again, they'll put a seal on it. So you can't disassemble the engine. It's what they call a sealed engine for that reason. You can't take the heads off or anything like that. And you can haul on the truck. As you've already pointed out, if something happens to your engine and you put that sealed engine back in, which has got limited miles on it.
Practice, they jumped in another car. So Jeff doing a lot of help here for a lot of the younger drivers. Bob Dillner.
Well, Rick, I'm with a very bright individual today, and unfortunately, I'm not talking about what's upstairs. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Brian Scott, but look at him. Look at the uniform right here. He's got the Boise State colors on, of course, supporting your native team there. But tell me about this. Did you get free tickets or what?
Yeah, they decided they'd let me come down on the blue field to watch a home game when I'm back home. But no, really proud to represent the Boise State Broncos, and we have a really good Bronco-powered Toyota Camry right now. So looking forward to getting out and qualifying, hopefully before this big cloud leads us, because I think track temperature means a lot here. Get a good starting spot, and just have a good race all night long while they're having a good game.
This might be the best Brian Scott has ever looked.
Ever, he said.
I tell you what, Timmy Hill is wheeling that 15 car. He is sideways, slipping and sliding. He kept his foot in the gas and has been getting the job done. Great lap for him.
His first lap, 32.136. That's 0.4 of a second faster than Jeff Green just ran.
Kyle Busch on the track now in the 18. Flirting with Daniel Suarez's fast time so far. Suarez credits Kyle Busch with teaching him so much about racing these Xfinity Series cars. Did that very happily from victory lane at Michigan. Brad Keselowski on the right in his Ford.
Kyle Busch right there. Be close.
Boy, he lost just enough at the end to make you wonder, but he goes to the top. 3 1/1000ths for Kyle over Suarez.
You know, Stephen Light is looking for a ride. He's been released. Robert Yates is actually folding up that Busch team, and he's looking for a ride. A pretty good young talent there looking for work.
Talk about talent. 10 starts, 10 top 10s for Jeff Burton in the Busch Series at Texas. A lot of success here.
Anytime he straps in this 29 Busch car for Richard Childress, you know he's going to be a factor everywhere he goes. No matter what kind of track, short track, mile and a half, he's always fast.
You know, he won the Cup race here back earlier this year, so a lot of success here at this racetrack. As we saw earlier, every time he's been in a Busch car, he's finished in the top 10, including 2 second-place finishes.
4 wins already this season in the NASCAR Busch Series for Jeff Burton as he goes across the start-finish line, 3rd quickest. Bob Dillner.
And Kevin Harvick looking on at his teammate in the 29 machine. And if there's a king of the Busch Series here, it's Kevin Harvick. 3 wins. We just saw your teammate there going on its qualifying runs. But what can we expect from you?
I don't know. We didn't do a qualifying run. We wanted to keep our tires all the same for the race. So we just concentrated on race stuff. But all these guys always do a great job. It's always fun to come drive this car. And Texas has been really good to us. So hopefully everything goes as it usually does here.
Look at that. He's got a big old Texas-sized grin on his face because he knows he's got a good race car here, guys.
Well, he should know he's got a good race car if it's any indication what his teammate just ran.
Some of the guys back at the shop and working on the car this weekend for getting us here, and Freightliner for coming on board. It wouldn't be possible without them. So we're going to hope for the best right now. We're P1 still, so we'll see. I think Joey's out there now, 3rd, so I think we're holding pretty good, but we'll see. Can't say anything yet.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Nice comeback for Wallace, who spun in practice yesterday. Here is NASCAR's last next big thing. Joey Logano driving the number 18, the Sport Clips car.
And there's he was the great young driver for his era, but 6 years have gone by. Now you got a lot of other drivers coming along, so the hits just keep coming.
Are you saying?
But I tell you what, every week A.J. Allmendinger takes it like a man. He says, I'm just going to dig as deep as I can, go after it.
And I think Brian Patty, the crew chief there, is the perfect crew chief to put with him. Veteran crew chief, rookie driver.
I was sitting there thinking exactly the same thing. Let's don't discount the team he's got under him right now. Ganassi Racing being led by the veteran Brian Patty, who's worked with some rookies in his past. I mean, guys like David Rudman, when he first made his transition from basically dirt modifieds
short tracks up in the Nextel Cup ranks as far as Busch Series. So great crew chief combination, and definitely paying off dividends right now, because that's a big pickup. That was almost 0.8 of a second pickup for A.J. Allmendinger.
Kevin Harvick, 5 wins in this season. Daytona, Loudon, Chicago, Montreal, Watkins Glen.
Hey, did I tell you that Happy Harvick has now joined the fraternity of the outdoorsmen? He went elk hunting the other week.
I have heard that.
And he did quite well. He got him a really nice big bull, so he's quite happy about that.
Is a bull an elk, or is a bull a bull?
A bull elk. Thank you. So you understand.
See, I'm not an outdoorsman.
I'm not either. I'm an outdoorsman, but my thing about outdoors is under a palm tree in a lounge chair. That's the way I want to spend my time outdoors.
With a glass of Merlot and a cigar, so you clear your head.
Not in a tree with a gun.
And he eats orange slices, too.
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick, 5th quickest in his 77 car at a 31.82.
You're scoring points. All right, how about Elliott Sadler? The story, of course, pretty well documented if you've been following the series, making the step back to the Nationwide Series to basically rejuvenate his career, and it has done wonders for his moral spirits ever since I've seen him last month. And right now, his first lap good for 50.7 seconds. And DJ, you know a lot about this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Elliott and I had a lot of conversations towards the end of last year about what he was going to do. I went through a very similar type situation from 1989 to 90. Was here running the Busch Series at the time, and it got my career resurrected in a number of different ways. So he goes out here and shows what he can do. He's a great competitor, knows how to get the job done at this racetrack too. He almost won the Daytona 500 a couple of times down here.
He's had 3 prior starts, and look at that lap tracker here in the Nationwide Series. He started on the pole back in '97, finished 15th. That was his best run of the 3. And right now, 9/100ths of a second off of pole. As he comes to the line, it's going to be close. How far will he move up? How about to number 2? Right behind Michael Annett by 1/10 of a second.
At the moment, as we watch Casey Kane get around this 1.5 miles, he won this event in 2005 from a 4th starting position.
And I'll go out on a limb right now after watching him practice yesterday. I believe this is going to be one of the cars you got to beat today, because it looked like his car was able to work at the bottom as well as around the top right there. So, you've got that kind of balance working for you early on. He should be much a factor, I think, later on this afternoon.
And I tell you what, watch the tracker out here. He's normally a factor in qualifying. He has 5 career NASCAR Busch Series starts here. He's qualified in the top 10 4 times, was pretty good down to the middle of turn 1 and 2, but looks like he struggled just a little bit on the exit of turn 2.
And Larry, to take your point a step further about his qualifying efforts, he started on the outside of row 1 twice.
So he's always pretty solid qualifying. I don't know if this is going to get him to row 1 here. Right now, his first lap will be 3rd quickest at a 31.64 for this 9.
David Rudiman, 6th in the nationwide standings in the Aaron's Toyota. 5 top 10 finishes in 2008. He's only had 2 starts here in this series, and they have not been in the front half of the field. Let's see what he can do.
At that left front, Jeff, right down on the bottom of that racetrack, kind of got to seal it off right there.
Yes, he does. We had a pretty good laugh today on trackside. We had his teammate, Michael McDowell, on our show from the Sprint Cup Series, and he said that David had been doing a really good job of kind of coaching that young man around this racetrack, along with their car owner and teammate, Michael Walter. And I said, David, I believe. Michael, I'm not too sure.
And you will see trackside tonight here on Speed following the Nationwide race on ESPN2. Michael McDowell is the featured guest. Who's that other guy you got on the show?
Junior? Yeah, Earnhardt Jr. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, just him?
Yeah. Something about the Mountain Dew car and the 88 and 11. I mean,
I heard something about that.
Yeah.
Rudiman is 11th with a 28.50. Coming.
Serious contenders. Now, we've heard from Kyle Busch that Denny Hamlin may have one of those cars that could have challenged him. So if he can challenge Kyle, he can also challenge that 60 car.
Well, I hope Super Mario has his belts pulled tight, because he's going to go for a ride.
He definitely is.
Tell you what, pretty solid first lap for Denny Hamlin, 27.353. And you look at the tracker right there, that's faster than Carl Edwards' first lap by 3/100ths, just a little slower than Kyle Busch. But look at the tracker. Let's see what Denny does getting into turn 3. Not only did he drive it down in there, I mean, he picked the throttle up. Jeff, we're going to be flirting with that track record, it looks like. Yes, 26.872. And boys, we don't get a chance to say it often. That's a new track record.
26.87. Good lap. Fine, let's see how it works out on his lap as Joey comes around to see where he shakes out.
It's going to go below it. Okay. I'm just not going to run through. I'm going to go below.
Still a little bump where he was, but a good lap. 40.31 on his first lap. A couple tenths faster than the pole so far. Looks like that's all he'll take.
Yep, shut it down. So Joey Logano to the #1 spot in qualifying his...
So that's how much faster this track is today.
Yep. Here's Taylor Lawson. Just keep looking at the ages of these guys in the series, right? Timmy Hill's 19 years old, and Matt Fromm is 22 years old, and here's Taylor Lawson, and 23 years old.
They're starting off younger. That's been the trend for a long time now.
9th fastest on the first lap, and regrouping on the second, and got that green line going.
Carried a lot of speed through the middle of 1 and 2 on the tractor, still staying green.
It's close.
Losing just a little bit of time off of turn 4.
Yep.
Like his first lap's going to be quicker also.
Up to second fastest for Taylor Lawson at a 30.1.
The thing too full, and with an engine, you know this can happen sometimes. The engine oil is in the pan itself, or the engine itself sometimes will run back in the tank and it can be over full. So combination of getting too hot, almost like boiling oil, and it got to go somewhere, and it finds that breather, and all of a sudden if it gets up in that breather line, it could actually start like a little siphoning effect and pull that oil out.
Yeah, hopefully it's just a situation like you say of being
too hot
or too much oil in it. They can rectify that on pit road. It's not be ashamed to go through this whole weekend and not even get a chance to put that car in the show.
And I think that's what NASCAR's helping these guys do, is clean up the mess right there, get it to where it's not going to be blowing oil out and getting on the racetrack for the fellow competitors. And he should get an opportunity to make qualifying run. But the biggest thing is that if they've cooked that oil, it could damage the engine, and hurt it as far as its performance is concerned. But anytime you see a driver working on a race car, with the exception of a guy like Curtis Davis, I'd get nervous.
Let me ask you boys a question. Joey Logano has already won a race this year in Nationwide Series competition. I have heard people say that the cars are so dissimilar that it may actually be hurting Joey's Cup performance. What do you guys think about that?
I don't know that it's hurting it. I think him winning winning that race, it helps his confidence. But I can certainly say that it's not helping it, as far as on the racetrack, because the cars drive differently. The kind of adjustments you're able to make to a Nationwide car are not very similar to a Sprint Cup car. It's a whole different animal. I think that's one of the reasons why NASCAR did it. So I wouldn't say it's hurting it, because seat time is seat time, but no way in my mind that I think it's helping him actually perform on Sunday.
And I'll agree with the performance on Sunday. That it's not a direct contributor. But I think that with the lack of testing this year, that him getting seat time is still invaluable. I think that's something that, he keeps his confidence up. Knowing that I can drive, that I am capable of running with these guys is huge. I mean, beating his teammate the other week at Nashville, I think gave him the kind of shot in the arm he needed. He just completed his qualifying attempt. He'll start